Dre all day.
You're now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to occur. Where is it? And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves all of us, including yourself, especially yourself. It's going to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one package, one approach, one mindset, one philosophy. Actually, we give you a whole bunch of all of these. I always say one, but we actually give you a whole bunch, so I'm really lying to you, but not really. And one daily masterclass. We got a bunch of books as well. All of this is all under one umbrella that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to find bigger problems. Yes, you heard me correctly. How to find bigger problems. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, Dre, why would I want to find bigger problems? I don't want to find smaller problems or less problems or completely eliminate problems. The answer is no, you do not. I'm going to explain why that is and how to find bigger problems, as I told you, in a moment. First of all, let me inform everybody that I have a text message line where you are going to text me. You can text me right now. You can text me during this episode. You can text me after the episode. I want you to text me and tell me the best thing you got from today's masterclass. Tell me a new idea you got from this. Tell me something you're going to think or do different based on what you heard. Or if you can't even think of anything, you should text me anyways. I'm going to tell you why. First of all, once you text me, you'll be able to engage with me directly because I spend time every day going through my texts and responding to people who are texting with me. And number two, you're going to be part of my texting community, which means every morning when I send out my daily motivation text that goes to everyone in my text community, you will receive that text. So if you want a message that's going to keep you sharp, focused, on point every day, why not get it for free straight to your phone from me every day? I mean, you're already listening to the show. Why wouldn't you do it? So text me 305-384-6894. Now, this topic here today, finding bigger problems. Understand that bigger problems, here's the reason why you want bigger problems. In case you were wondering, why would anybody want problems? Always someone wants to look for a problem, especially a big problem. I'm going to tell you why. Because bigger problems equal bigger solutions, and bigger solutions equal bigger rewards. I want you to remember that there is no life situation that is devoid of problems. There's no situation you could get involved in which there will not be a problem. I told you in episode 1663 that you're going to have to eat a shit sandwich no matter what you do in life. All right, it's guaranteed that no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter how high you go, no matter how low, there's going to be some form of shit sandwich you're going to have to eat. And if you haven't listened to that episode on the shit sandwich, make sure you go listen to it. Again, it's 1663. If you are homeless, that's a problem that you got to deal with. If you have a really big house, there are problems you got to deal with there as well. But can we agree that between the person who has nowhere to live and the person who has this huge place to live, that even though both have problems, there are different quality of problems. There are different size of problem. There are different things that they're going to have to do to deal with those problems. And the solutions to each problem usually lead to different types of outcomes that go after the solution. Everyone can agree with that, right? There are different solutions to different types of problems. There's a problem if you don't work out at all and you get out of shape and your body's not in good shape. You got to go to the hospital and you got to get all kinds of medicines from your doctor, and then you get some virus or cold that most people will get over in a week or two, but it debilitates you and you're not sure how you're even going to survive with it. That is a problem. Now, if you're in great shape, that means you probably work out all the time, which means maybe sometimes your body is feeling tired. Maybe sometimes you get injured because you're training maybe a little bit too hard. Maybe you get some kind of overuse injury from the kind of workouts that you do. Is that a problem? I think so. Now, which kind of problem would you rather have? Now, both of them are problems. And if you're somewhere in between, there are going to be some problems that pop up on either side of the equation. The point that I'm making is there is no perfect situation in life. Everything in life, paraphrasing Mr. Thomas Sowell, has a trade-off. All right, there are no perfect solutions. Everything has a trade-off. No matter what you do, there's some kind of shit you're going to have to deal with. So, since you're going to have to deal with some shit anyway, why don't we just find some bigger and better problems so we can find bigger and better solutions and thus get bigger and better rewards? All right, everybody with me? Point number one. Topic once again, how to find bigger problems. Bite off more than you can chew without choking yourself. This is the first way to find bigger problems in life. The only way to find out how much you can take on in life is by, indeed, taking on more and then learning how to handle it along the way. The path to testing your limits in life is to go beyond what you thought you were capable of, and then, in the process, realizing that you were actually capable of much more. This is the only way that you get there. At some point in life, you're going to have to do a little bit more or try a little bit more than maybe what you thought your limit was, or maybe what someone bored into your head that you thought your limit was, or maybe what the people around you, what their limits are. We talked about law of association. Getting around the people who, or the people who you've been around, they had certain limitations on themselves. We talked the law of association in episode 1880, and you realizing, or at least thinking, having the idea, the theory, the hypothesis that maybe you could go a little bit further, and then you do it, and then you realize, oh damn, I could have went this far. I wish I had done this sooner. I wish I had done this earlier. I wish I had tried this at an earlier point in my life. Usually, I'll tell you something that I hear from people who have achieved super high levels of success, and high levels of success are a relative term. But when I hear anyone talking about the success that they've created, almost every time to a man, and when I say man, I'm referring to humans, not just males, they all say, I hear the same thing from so many of them, and they don't all say it in so many words, but they all say something like, once I found out how much further above my self-imposed limits that I knew I could go, I wish that I had done it sooner. I wish that I had realized at age 30 what I didn't find out until I was 40. I wish I had figured out at 18 what I didn't figure out until I was 25. I wish I had known at age 50 what I didn't learn until I was 75. Almost every time, people who end up achieving at a super high level, meaning a level that is above what most people end up doing, above the average, above the normal, it's because they just decided to try going above the limits that had been set in their head. And then when they realized that they were perfectly capable of doing so, not without some trepidation in the process, but once they realized that they could do it, they said, damn, I wish I had done this earlier. I could have did this 10 years ago. I could have did this 20 years ago. I could have done this last week. I could have did this yesterday. I wish I had done it earlier. That's usually what ends up happening. So the only time that all of us have, none of us can go backwards, no matter what your age is, the best time that we have is the present. So the only way that you will bite off more than you can chew without choking, and then figure out that you can actually handle it, is you got to be willing to go further than whatever in your mind you believe is your limit. And why you have that as a limit in your mind, you probably don't even know. You probably can't even answer the question where you got that limit from. You probably got it from the adults who you were around during your upbringing, and it's just been set in stone in your mind ever since then, and or you got it from the people with whom you associate, your peer group, the law of association. Those are usually the two places that we get limitations from. Kobe Bryant, legendary basketball player who we all know, when he jumped from high school to the NBA, many people thought, this kid's kind of crazy. The players who had gone from high school to the NBA up to that point, hadn't been too many at that point, had all been, quote unquote, big men. These are guys like 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet tall who had done it and been, at least had some marginal, if not more, success. Kobe Bryant was a guard. He was only maybe about 6 foot 6 inches tall. It was still pretty tall, but for basketball standards, not a big man. He would be a guard. He was this skinny, twig-like little kid. Like, what is he going to do in the NBA? He's not going to be ready to go out there and compete with these grown men. And at certain points in his early NBA career, it looked like those critics were correct. But eventually, Kobe figured it out. He figured it out actually pretty quickly, and Kobe ended up being pretty good. Again, even if you don't watch basketball, we all know who Kobe is. And when Kobe was asked, for players who are going to make that jump, going straight to the NBA from high school, or even from college to the NBA, what is it like? What's the mentality when you jump in there and that, this Shark Tank with all these professional grown men in basketball, and here you are, a little amateur, trying to prove that you can play out there? What's the mentality? And Kobe said, sink or swim. That's what he said. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. And that's, I can't make it any more simple than that. Not everybody who bites off more than they can chew actually makes it. Some people choke on their food, and that's pretty much it. They asphyxiate from taking on too much. But they only find out in that process that they took on more than they can handle. But I want you to understand something. That's a game of life. I don't have a silver lining to that cloud that I just threw out there. This is the game of life. You either bite off more than you can chew, and then you find out that it's not more than you can chew, or you bite off more than you can chew, and you find out that you were right. It was more than you could chew. But here's the thing. The worst case scenario is not that you try a lot and then find out that you can't handle it and you kind of collapse under the weight of that task that you took on. The worst thing is when you never try and then you never find out how much of your potential that you left unfulfilled. I remember when I was living in South Beach, Miami. This is probably about maybe 2014, 2013. Living in South Beach, and I'm living in this place. It was like I don't even know what they call these places, but in South Beach, there are a lot of these older buildings that's like I believe they call it a co-op. where a bunch of people own it and they all pull their money together. I can't even explain exactly how they work, but I rented from a person who was one of the owners of this place, and my place was on the second floor of the facility. Now, it was only like 10 apartments in this whole thing. So it was like 5 on the first floor, 5 on the second floor. And this is an older building. This is the kind of building that these days they're tearing these buildings down and building condos on top of that land. But this building in particular that I used to live in, the last time I drove past there in South Beach, it was still there. And I remember I bought a couch from IKEA because I didn't have a couch in the place. I had a bed, but I didn't have a couch. So I went and bought a couch from IKEA. And any of you who's been to IKEA, you know how it works. You look on the showroom floor, you find the item that you want, then you grab the little ticket or whatever, you pay for it, and then you go to the, what do they call it? It's like the warehouse area, and you go find that thing that you don't pay for it first. You go grab the ticket, you go find the thing in the warehouse area, put it on your cart or your hand truck, whatever, because sometimes these are really big items, and then you take it, you cart it up to the register, and you pay for it. So I paid for this couch. Now, it's just me. I didn't have anybody with me. So here I am, and I managed to get this couch into my vehicle, because at the time I had this big SUV. So I get the couch into my vehicle. I drive home to South Beach from IKEA, and the IKEA was like outside of, I don't even know if it's an IKEA in the city of Miami. I don't know which one I went to. It was all the way outside of the city. But anyway, I get home. Now I have the couch in this big box. It's not just the couch itself. The couch is in this big box, and then you still have to assemble it and all that, but it's pieces to a couch. It's not like a couch is made up of Legos, a whole bunch of small pieces. There's some big pieces here. So it's in this big, long, rectangular box. It's like the size of a refrigerator, the size of the box. Now, mind you, I live on the second floor. So I got to get this box up to the second floor apartment that I live in. There's no elevator at this building. I told you, this is an older building. It's only 2 stories, so there's no elevator. It's just steps. So I'm trying to get this box, which is bigger than me, and it almost weighs as much as me, up the stairs of this second floor place here in South Beach, and I don't have anyone helping me. And I remember what I decided to do, my genius idea, was to turn the box sideways, angle it up the stairs, and kind of just push it up the stairs. I wasn't going to be able to just hold it and carry it straight up the stairs, especially as I'm going upstairs, because the physics, the gravity would start leaning me backwards. I might fall backwards and had a box fall on top of me, kind of like you ever see those little video clips where somebody is trying to rob the vending machine falls on them. It would have been like that, only even worse, because it wouldn't have been on a flat surface. It would have been falling down steps. Might have hit my head and, I don't know, got a concussion or died right there on the spot. So I didn't want to do it that way. So I'm pushing this box up the stairs, and it seems, as I'm painting this picture, it seems like it would be pretty easy, but it wasn't as easy as it appears maybe as you're trying to visualize this. So I'm pushing this box up the steps, and at one point that box started to lean towards me, and it was about to fall back on me, and it was about to fall down. It was going to fall on me, and then me and the box were going to fall down those stairs. And I was about halfway up the stairs. It was only about maybe 15 steps to this 2-story place. And I still remember this moment, because you get to that moment where you can feel that you're like teetering, where, all right, at this exact moment, it was this fulcrum point where either I'm going to have the strength, the core strength, to push this box back forward, or the box is going to push me over. One or the other is going to happen. There was no in between, because there's the railing on either side of the steps. So it's not like I could push it to the side or anything. There was nowhere for the box to go. It's either going forward or it's going backward, one or the other. And I was able to, I remember at this exact moment, because it was at night, it was like 8 o'clock at night, so it was dark outside. There's nobody outside who can come help me or anything like that. And I didn't call anyone to help me. I figured I could do it myself. So at that moment, because I'm here to tell you the story almost 10 years later, I did survive, and I was able to push the box back forward. I was able to get it up into my apartment and set the couch up and live happily ever after. And it was only about a year or so later, I moved out of that apartment and I sold somebody that couch for almost the exact same amount that I paid at IKEA. So anyway, shout out to IKEA. The whole point is, sometimes in life you got to take on a little bit more than you think you can, whether it's a foolish idea or not. But when you find out that you can, now you've expanded your comfort zone. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to find bigger problems. Number 2, identify a challenge that affects more people than the challenges that you've been identifying up to this point. In the sales world, they say, there's a very simple saying that people have: if you want to make $100, help 100 people. Or solve a $100 problem. If you want to make $1,000, solve a $1,000 problem. Or you want to make $1 million, solve a $1 million problem. Or solve a problem if you want to make more money, just solve more problems, or solve the same problem that affects more people. And this is what I mean here when I'm saying how to solve bigger problems in life. Just identify a challenge that other people have. And then when you figure out the solution, the more people you have helped solve a problem for, the more rewards you're going to get. Simple as that. Impacting more people leads to bigger rewards. And if you really think about it, the only way any of us ever earns any money, even a single dollar, is by impacting other people. You only earn money through helping other people. If you sell an online course and you sell it to 100 people, then you're going to get 100 times whatever the cost of your course is. But if you're able to sell that same course to 1,000 people, now you 10x your money. You sell it to 10,000, you 10x it again. You sell it to 100,000, you 10x it again. So sometimes it means taking the problem that you've already solved and just making sure more people know that you have solved that problem. In other words, let's take, for example, my book, The Third Day here. If 100 people know that I have this book and they go buy it, then I make 100 times whatever I'm going to charge for the book. But if I get 1 million people to know about it, then it's the same problem that I'm solving. There's no marginal increase in effort as far as solving the problem that I need, that I have to put out. But because more people know about my solution, now I'm going to get a bigger reward simply because more people got to it. Now, on the other hand, another way of looking at it is, let's say I take something like the book, The Third Day. Now I could give 1 million people that book and I solve it for that many people and I get whatever reward comes with it. But let's just say that there's a bigger problem that people have other than what I talk about in The Third Day. Maybe there's some other problem that they have, such as, I don't know, maybe there's a problem such as how do I really figure out who I want to be as a person, which might be a problem solved by the mirror of motivation. Let's say it's a bigger problem than that. Like, how do I get me a nice 10-bedroom house or something big like that? It could be any other kind of problem that you think is bigger than what is solved by the book. That's the point that I'm making. Let's say I take the same number of people who I helped with the book, but I solved a bigger problem in their eyes, the same exact people, but I solve a problem that is bigger to them. Now, they're going to be willing to pay more because the problem is bigger. They might only be willing to pay $20 for a book, but they might be willing to pay $200 for a course. They might be willing to pay $2,000 for a one-on-one session, or they might be willing to pay $20,000 for, who knows, some type of long-term consulting or coaching or something like that. The whole point is you can solve a bigger problem for the same people or just solve the same problem for more people. Either way, you have identified a challenge that affects people either more or affects more people. When you affect more people, you get bigger rewards. And at the same time, let's be clear, it comes with its own set of challenges. If you sell 100 copies of a book, now you got to make sure those 100 books get into the hands of 100 people. When you sell 1 million copies of a book, now you got to get 1 million copies of a book into the hands of 1 million people. It's a little bit of a bigger challenge that's going to come with that. And if you're dealing with 1 million different people, I guarantee you there will be some challenges that come up that you would never expect to come up dealing with human beings. But humans are humans. And remembering, human beings, we are unique, we are complex, every single one of us. So the more of us that each of us affects, the more issues you're going to run into because you're going to learn that not everybody is the same and not everybody is like you. However, solving that challenge also promises amazing benefits on the other end of it. You look at somebody like Jeff Bezos with Amazon. He took Amazon to become the company that serves millions of people with all kinds of challenges. I mean, who here doesn't buy things from Amazon? You think he's had to solve some headaches along the way? I think so. Headaches with his own staff and his own people, headaches with his customers. Even if he's not personally the one dealing with them, somebody in that company has to deal with these challenges. I personally have challenges sometimes when I order things from Amazon, and somebody has to deal with them because I'm a customer, I'm paying them money, and they want to satisfy me because they know if they do, I'm going to keep spending money, which is their whole purpose of being in business. Point number 3, today's topic once again is how to solve bigger problems. Get bigger goals. You want to solve bigger problems in life, just set some higher goals for yourself. In episode 1663, I told you there's a shit sandwich that comes with anything you do. So there's a shit sandwich when you win, there's a shit sandwich when you lose. There's a shit sandwich if you are a failure in life, and there's a shit sandwich if you are a success. So when you set yourself to move towards bigger goals, you will naturally have bigger problems to deal with, guaranteed. But in episode 204, I told you about going over the top of problems, meaning setting bigger goals will automatically come with bigger problems, so you won't even have to think about how to get them. So this whole episode is about solving bigger problems. You don't need to think about, damn, how do I solve a bigger problem? You might be kind of confused as even where to begin with that challenge. Let me tell you how to do it in a way that it will automatically come with something else. Just set bigger goals. The bigger your goals, the bigger the problems you're going to have to deal with in order to reach those goals. So you only have to think about the problem. The problems will show up automatically. It's a package deal. Our goals come with problems and challenges, guaranteed. And nobody here can tell me about a goal you have that doesn't come with a problem. They will find you. Okay, so remember that this is not a bad thing. Having challenges and problems is not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Problems are part of being alive. If you don't have any problems, that means you're dead and we are scheduling your funeral. All right, you're getting measured for a casket. Bigger and better life equals bigger and better problems. All right, so keep that in mind, tattoo it onto your brain, because the bigger the problems you solve and the bigger the challenges and the bigger the life that you want to live, the problems will automatically come with it. Don't even worry about it. They will find you. Doesn't even mean if you change your address, you change your number, they will automatically get it. All right, they just know where you are at all times. All right, they're like one of these smartphone apps or devices. They already know everything you're doing. Let's recap today's class, which is how to find bigger problems. The reason why I'm telling you to find bigger problems is bigger problems equal bigger solutions, which equals bigger rewards. There is no life situation that is devoid of problems. Point number one, bite off more than you can chew without choking yourself. The only way you will actually find out is to bite off more than you thought you could chew and then find out that you didn't actually choke yourself. You were actually capable of handling it. As Kobe Bryant said, is sink or swim. And the only way you're going to know whether you can sink or swim is you got to jump in the pool. Now, the worst case scenario is not that you sink. The worst case scenario is that you never try and then you get to the end of your life and you're still wondering what if. Point number two, identify a challenge that affects more people or a challenge that affects people more. So instead of solving 10% of their issues, solve 50% of their issues. Now you have solved a bigger problem. So people are unique and complex, and the more of them you affect, the more issues you're going to run into in the process of doing so. But the rewards on the other end are worth it, or at least hopefully you think they are. Look at Jeff Bezos. At one point, he had a small company back in the 90s when he was sitting at a desk by himself. Nowadays, look what he has. He is, as of this recording, the richest person on paper in the world, not because he's so great, well, he is pretty great, but because the real reason he's the richest person on paper in the world is not because of his greatness. It is because Amazon solves more problems and bigger problems for more people than anyone else. That is why he gets paid the most. And number three, get bigger goals. In episode 1663, I told you there's a shit sandwich that comes with anything that you do, win or lose, fail or succeed. So you might as well win and succeed in life, because you're going to have to eat a shit sandwich even if you fail. So when you set and move towards bigger goals, the bigger problems will naturally come with it. So don't worry about how to find bigger problems. All you got to do is set bigger goals. The problems will find you. They are tracking you. They know where your phone is. They know where you're at. They know what you're thinking. They know what you're talking about. They're like Alexa. They're listening to your conversation. They know everything that's going on anyway. I want you to text me. Tell me the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894, or just text me if you want to get my daily motivation text. Just say hello. You will be in there and you'll get my daily motivation, the very next one that comes out. Also, any of you who's looking for someone who can help you solve those bigger problems. You already know what problems you want to solve. Maybe you have some bigger problems and bigger goals that you want to set, but you're not sure how to go about reaching them. You might be a great candidate for my 3rd-day mastermind. It is the only place that I offer direct one-on-one coaching of anyone. The only way to get into there, you got to hop on a Zoom call with me, because I want to find out from you who you are, what you're about, where you're at, where you want to go, what are your challenges right now, and how I can help you get there. You want to get on a Zoom call with me, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. The link is down below in the show notes. You'll fill out a quick form, hop on a Zoom call with me, and then we'll talk about what we need to talk about. Work on your game. Dre, all